That's the most sickening thing.
Yeah.
That this man is killed in the street by the police very slowly and in front of, cameras and everything. They arrested this man. He was innocent. They humiliated him, but they had his arms behind his back. He was not resisting. And they were walking him across. He tripped, and they put him on the floor. 4 policemen, sitting on him. And one of them clearly had his knees, bent with his knees, full force of his body on the man's neck from behind. And it went on for like maybe 8 minutes or so, just sitting on his neck. The guy's breathes, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. I can't breathe, please just let me breathe. Let me have a drink. And the policeman didn't let up, even when the body went limp, he just still had his hand there, and it was completely on film. And it's not that these things by themselves, that's the worst thing. Yeah, it's happening all the time, all over the world. Acts of cruelty are happening, But when we have a chance to see it, then not only should this policeman, of course, be arrested and charged for murder, and all the other policemen were with him to make sure that, not only that, but now it's gone to another stage where all of that is openly seen by everybody. What are we going to do about it? Because this is a very important thing for United States, for people who look at that. I think this is a God-presented thing to say, now I want to see what you do about it. About stamping out this type of racism. Because I remember many years ago when I was a young boy, when the Vietnam War was happening, America sent a lot of troops there. When war went on for quite a while. And many atrocities happen in the war. There's never any clean wars, Many atrocities happen. But I remember 2 pictures that came out about 1968, and the impact of those pictures stopped the war. 2 pictures. It's happening all the time, people are just horrible things happen. These 2 pictures, one was of a Vietnamese general or something like this. They caught one Viet Cong man who was supposed to be a terrorist, but you don't see that. Guys was dressed in regular, sort of like a regular shirt, checkered shirt. They brought him for, and the photographer was an American photographer who just felt like, he's just watching an interrogation of the guy, and they just brought the man right up, and the general just took a gun and shot him right in his head, right live, on a live camera. And this man just fell on the ground. He saw the blood just spewing out of his head, and it took like a while to die like this, That, and I remember one image, which was they had bombed, the Americans had bombed actually a friendly village. And there's a picture of all these people running across this bridge, including children that's just been completely burnt, with the napalm ban. And with soldiers walking behind them, very nonchalantly, and the children screaming with pain, like this. And those pictures had such an impact on the conscience of the American people that shortly after, the troops were called home and the war was put to the Americans' involvement with it, And it just recalls that picture, because now I see a picture of a brutality openly expressed, which shows 2 things. One is that those policemen must feel safe enough to do that, that they weren't going to be attacked by loads of people, because that's almost common, that 4 policemen hold a man down and one put their full weight on the knee, on the man's neck, who is pleading, who cannot do any harm at all, totally innocent. And thankfully, the mayor stood up and just said, "No, I want these people." If it was, these policemen murdered that man, This policeman murdered that man in cold blood, in the public's eye, which we're not saying, it should have happened in private. We're saying that we now see it. So it's like entered into our consciousness as human beings, American people. And this is not, this is just a chance for American people now to show this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. And so two things, not because it happened only, because it's happening all the time. People are doing, people doing wrongs against each other all over the world, not even in war situation. It's happening. But when now it is brought in front of the public in this way, then you cannot unsee it. It's like you've seen it, and you have to voice that this, no matter what political party you belong to, violence against an innocent person is not right, like this. Of course, I can take it to a higher level and say all of these things are happening because human beings are a stranger to their true self. It's only the ego can do that. Human beings have moved away, fallen away from the grace of their true nature. Because if you are in your true nature, you are very much, you would not harm someone like that. Of course, things happen like that. Things happen. But at least the justness is seen to act, to say as an example. And this is a case that can change many things in the United States. Just to say, look, this is clearly an act of racism. And now they're spending time to say we want to investigate what led up to this. It doesn't matter. In front of everyone, you show this man has no rights, even though he was completely incapacitated, and he was not resisting, and it was happening completely. Because you can also keep, justifying and making all. They said actually they were called because they hear that there was some fraud was in a fraud. Not even this man had no gun, had no weapon, had no knife, had no resistance. So I felt that was really wrong because I see many things. We see many things. Even in my country, you hear about it. But when you see like this, you say, no, you cannot not say something. And I saw that many people came on the street. There were riots happening on the street. A lot of people with T-shirts saying, I can't breathe. And that's almost become like a metaphor for life. If you suffocate the people's expression, who are not doing wrong simply because they look different from you in your eyes. Because I don't feel anybody looks different from me. I don't see anyone looks different from me. That is the truth. I don't see anybody looks different from me. Even the policemen, I don't see them looking different from me. I see that your behavior is different from who you are. And that, we have a choice and a power to change that, And these things can change. America is great enough. It has the power enough. And American people have shown they have a conscience hustle, but they have to be touched. They have to be really, they have to be clear that this is an injustice. And I don't see anything more unjust than something like this, Because the rest you can say we heard about it and a report after, but this is actually on camera. You can see everything until the man just could not resist. He was there, and still the policeman kept his weight and his knee on the man's neck until when the ambulance came, they found no pulse in the man. And so terrible. You can't justify that this person did a wrong thing when many years ago or whatever thing. This has got nothing to do with that. We all do wrong things. Intentionally and unintentionally. But this was just a kind of brutality that I feel that God puts in front of every human being. This is not just about, you can see it in terms of racism, yes it is that, but it is terms about humanity. And, what are we, if you see something like this happening and you don't intervene at least by standing up and saying, we don't accept this. In our name, as a land that really speaks about freedom so highly, this is not right. And I don't want to single this thing out. Even before this, not long ago, there was another man actually died same way. This is just not. It's so upsetting, and you know. But because ordinarily people who are coming from some spiritual or religious perspectives tend not to comment about things like this, like this. But when you're moved as a human being. You know, yes, of course, we know that so many wrongs happen in the world. That's not an excuse. There's a time to act, you know, and to say, this is not right. This is really not right at all. You know, I mean, we know many wrongs. But now it's like, having seen this, if you say nothing, if you just ignore it or justify it, then in a sense we are approving of it, you know. That's very wrong. We read the newspapers or something, people read newspapers and you hear news all the time of atrocities around the world. And it's, you know, when you don't see it, your mind kind of find a place to say, yeah, of course the world is like that, it's getting worse and so on. But when someone is willing to do something like that in the name of the law openly, it just shows that they feel that they have the right to do that. Can you imagine if that was your uncle or your father or your son? Just, yeah. So, I'm looking for a word like anyhow, and I can't find it. You know, I'm looking for a word like anyway. I can't find that word. It's like a lump in your throat.
Yes.
I can't just move on from this. Because that is a strong moment. I feel for anyone who see this thing and who have at least a conscience, who have a little bit of humanity or love inside their heart, who can't use their minds to justify something like that. You know? Because when you step up and you stand up for something like that, then I feel that you are really standing up for your country, not just for your race. You're standing up for righteousness. You're standing up for your God truth. You're standing up for God, you know. You're not standing up, oh, it's a black man, you know, these blacks, you know what. No, stop that, please. Just stop that, you know. This is a play put on by the Lord himself to show, listen, you must know it's time to act. Every now and again, there's like life puts something up and say, take a look at this, and we all see it. And something in us, you know, just don't want trouble, don't want to upset people, and don't want to be seen to be, you know, we're too afraid until it happens to you. And for me, it has happened to me. When you do something wrong to someone, I don't feel you're doing something good to me about it. You know, I feel you do something wrong to me. And not that I'm any more special. I'm just saying to us, you do something wrong to us. I just wish somehow that we will evolve, that we stop being just me and start being us. From me to we. You know, to you know. But we cannot do that while you're in, you know, an egoic, naive state. Because everybody is very selfishly into their own world. So may it come that, you know, through the grace of the work, even that we do here, that people become just more conscious. And it's not to try and stop all the violence, but to wake up, you know, to the truth of what a human life can be. And what it is. There's a layer we have not gone beyond in ourselves, and that capacity is there. It's really who we are, and I believe that it is my opinion that the real opportunity of life is to just wake up to the truth of yourself, which is something beautiful. It's not like wake up to see how ugly you are. It's, wake up out of the ugliness into the beauty of your true life. For anybody, this message is not for black people, white people, Indian. It's just for everyone.
Yes.
For everybody. When you're compassionate, you can say, "Oh, that was a white compassionate action. This is a black compassionate." No, it just seems so silly. Kindness doesn't have any color. No? When it comes to, everybody cares for themselves. When you start to care for others and care for the world, you have a care about it, then you really begin to, transcend the limitation, And it's not so hard, actually. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to experience that.